Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts back once again with another video for you guys. Today, guys, as you can tell, I am doing a tier list video, another one. Today I'm ranking the MCU films up to Endgame. This does not include Spider-Man Far From Home. And I'm pretty sure this is all the films in the MCU released so far besides Spider-Man Far From Home. If there is a film missing from this list, do not get mad at me, do not attack me. I did not make this. I'm just using this as a way to rank the MCU films up to Endgame and just having some fun and talking about the MCU films up to Endgame and all that kind of stuff. So as you can see here, with the rankings that's created by somebody else, they list the rankings as follows: best, good, likable, not okay, dumb, what? So I don't know if I'll be using the what, but with the best at the very, very top, I feel like that's going to be for films, in my personal opinion, that after seeing it for the first time in the theaters, and then after seeing it again and again and again on home release or whatever, Blu-ray, digital, whatever, I still feel stand the test of time in terms of MCU films that are the best, in my personal opinion, that will continue to be the best films in the MCU as we move forward into Phase 4 and then onwards to Phase 5 and blah, 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 however long we go. But yeah, so here we go. Here's my list, and I'm curious to know how you guys agree or disagree with my opinions. I'm curious to know, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, how you'd rate some of these films compared to me. Let's jump into it now, guys, and let's do the video, and let's rank the MCU films. So first things first, we have the Avengers, the very first one. This is going to be pretty easy for me. I was blown away by this movie, seeing it in the theaters for the first time, and I just go back to it from time to time and just love the fact that it actually worked, because it could have easily fell apart. At any point, this film could have fell apart and been a disaster. But the idea of having all these characters, for the most part, not Black Widow and Hawkeye, having solo films leading up to this moment, it fucking blew it out. It was fucking amazing, okay? Fucking amazing. I gotta go best. I fucking love this movie, and I will continue to love this movie for the rest of my life. I just can't get over how great it is. The Incredible Hulk. Now, there are still some people that question, is this really even in the MCU? Yes, there's direct references they go back to. I'm still questioning why they have not brought back Betty, but I feel like at this point, it's never going to happen. But we have her father. They brought him back into the mix, and he's going to be in the upcoming Black Widow movie. So that's pretty awesome. So for the Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton, I feel like they did a pretty solid job. It's unfortunate Edward Norton didn't continue with the MCU. Of course, Mark Ruffalo took over. But for me, the Hulk, I think, is good. Now, I might be the minority, because there's some people that don't like the movie. For me personally, stupid fucking heater. Sorry, stupid fucking heater. I keep forgetting to turn that shit off until it turns on. If you don't hear it, that's fine. But for me, I'm going to hear it, and it's going to annoy the fuck out of me. But I overall like the Hulk movie. I think it's pretty enjoyable, so good. Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, for Captain America, the First Avenger, I feel like the film did a great job establishing him before, of course, the time jump at the very end, but just setting everything up. It's just crazy to think this is a period piece. They could have easily made this movie where they set up his origins or whatever, but then he gets brought into the present at the time. But they didn't do that. They decided to go, we're going to do Red Skull, and how they tied it all up with Endgame and fucking Infinity War with Red Skull coming back, it's crazy, but it was just a great way to introduce the character, and I felt like it was the right place. It was the right idea to keep him in the past the entire time until the very end. So for me, Captain America, the First Avenger, I'm going to go with good. Very, very good film. Very good introduction for Captain America. Now, we have Iron Man 2. This, of course, is not in order, so very sorry about that. I didn't do that. So, Iron Man 2, I feel like the film gets a lot of shit, and for a lot of it, yes, it deserves it. I felt like Iron Man 2 could have been so much better, and I just feel like it really feels like a rush job. Because the first film came out in 2008. I believe this came out in 2010. And so they did a quick turnaround because it was so successful. But Robert Downey Jr. does a pretty solid job still. But at the same time, man, this film could have been so much better. But for me, I'm going to go with not okay for Iron Man 2. I just feel like it didn't stick the landing. And it just felt like they were just trying to rush a story where they could have held off and gave it more time. But they didn't do that. Avengers Infinity War. Now, there will be a debate going on forever in terms of which film is better, Infinity War or Endgame. For me, Infinity War was a bold film where instead of it being focused on the Avengers, which it did, it was really Thanos' movie. It was really his film, and the ending, the snap, it changed everything. Like, in terms of the MCU, of course, it changed everything. But in terms of pop culture and how people responded to Infinity War, it was just insane how people, like how the snap just changed everything for memes, and people talk about the film nonstop, and how the ending where half of everything gets dusted changed the game, because you thought there's no way they're going to do that. But there was another Avengers film coming. So what direction could they have went if they did not go that direction? So for me, Infinity War, as I still think to this day, I deserves to be in the best category. It's just a phenomenal film, and I am happy with the choices that are made, and how they were not afraid to go there. They were not afraid to make that decision to surprise a lot of people. I mean, some people theorized it was going to happen, but they weren't 100% sure. Damn, did they knock it out of the park. Black Panther, great film. Great film. I remember seeing it in theaters opening, I think it was opening night, and I was surprised at some of the decisions made, and how a certain character bites the dust, essentially, kind of early on, and I wasn't expecting that. The only thing that kind of bogs down the film, in my personal opinion, is the it was not polished, the overly CGI'd fight towards the end with Black Panther versus Killmonger, and just how the CG just looked really, it wasn't polished, and it kind of ruined the intensity of it, because Killmonger is a great villain, and it's unfortunate that the big final action sequence with Black Panther versus Killmonger kind of gets bogged down by the CG. But overall, looking at the big picture, Black Panther, I think, was a great introduction for the character. I think he was awesome in Civil War. But really, I really enjoyed this film, and I cannot wait for the sequel. I'm going to give Black Panther a good. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Now, more debating in terms of which film is better in terms of Captain America, the second and third. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, or Civil War? Which one do you prefer? Winter Soldier was a big change for Captain America. When you watch the first film, like, as if you're someone who watches, like, you could, right now, you could watch Captain America 1, 2, 3, back to back to back. And you watch Captain America, the first film, and see the tone they set up and how it was set in the past. It was a period piece. And then you jump to Winter Soldier being a spy thriller. It just like, whoa. And the Russo brothers, of course, came on. This was their first film. And I feel like they stuck the landing, and they did a lot of cool things with this film, and they made Captain America a fucking badass. And then, of course, bringing in the Winter Soldier with Bucky. It was just a great film, a lot of fantastic action, and I just can't get enough of the Winter Soldier. So I'm going to give the Winter Soldier best, in my personal opinion. Holy crap. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, I haven't talked about this film on the channel up to this point now, but for me, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I feel like it was okay. My only thing is I felt like at times it felt like it was too jokey, and that at points it just didn't feel like there was enough seriousness with this film. But I like the fact that we got another Ant-Man film. I feel like the Wasp getting actually getting in the title, and then having their own continuation, of course, of their story, what they set up in the first Ant-Man film. I just feel like it could have been better. I feel like it could have been better, but who knows? Maybe the third film is going to knock us out of the park, because we know what's coming, but I'm excited to see what they do. But for me, Ant-Man and the Wasp is likable at best. Thor Ragnarok, the film that changed Thor. So for me, I feel like Thor Ragnarok was, I think, a crazy decision with Taika Waititi, of course, directing. When you look at Thor 1 and Thor 2, which we haven't got to yet on the list, those films, like Thor 1, I felt like was pretty solid, and I think I like it more than most people. But Thor: The Dark World, whoa. Now, they try to bring Thor Dark World, not Ragnarok, Thor Dark World into more of a relevance with Endgame, which I think was a nice touch for that. But I feel like Thor Ragnarok was an interesting decision. Was it too jokey at times? Yes. Did it make Thor act like a completely different character at times? Kinda, because they made Thor really jokey, and that's not who he was when they introduced him. But over time, characters change, characters develop, and they go into different directions. So I understand that. So for me, Thor Ragnarok, I think, is pretty solid, and I overall enjoyed it. I actually watched it again recently, and I still overall enjoyed the film. So I'm going to give Thor Ragnarok good. My personal opinion. If there was another one that was like solid in between good and likable, I would put it in the solid category, but that's not available here, so that's okay. Avengers Endgame. I'm just going to talk after ranking it. I mean, come on. Fucking best. I cannot get over this fucking movie. It there's a reason why it has to be 3 hours. I feel like if you cut anything out of this movie in terms of plot or certain scenes that tie in together and you just completely remove a storyline, it really messes up the film, because there's so much going on in this movie that it needed to be 3 hours. It did. And there's still things that they cut out that they could actually made it longer. But for what it is, I'm happy this movie's 3 hours. There's some people like, that's too much. Like, no, I think it worked. It made sense in my personal opinion. I fucking love Endgame. And for me personally, I think Endgame's better than Infinity War. So that's where I stand at this point. I feel like Endgame's better than Infinity War. My only thing is I kind of wish they would have developed the version of Thanos they had in Endgame a little bit more, even though we had seen plenty of him in Infinity War, but it was a different version than we saw in Infinity War in Endgame. So I feel like they should have done a little bit more of setting up with that, but regardless, fucking awesome. Can't get over it. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, for me personally, I feel like Guardians 1 is a better film. I still enjoy Guardians 2. I like the reveal of Quill's dad, of course, Kurt Russell. Who doesn't fucking love Kurt Russell? He's a fantastic actor, in my personal opinion. And just seeing how they were able to push forward with certain characters, and, of course, Yondu's death. It's really crazy, but for me, I think this movie's pretty good. But I feel like Guardians 1 is a better film. But for me, I'm going to give Guardians 2, surprisingly, a likable, just because I feel like they could have done more with the film. But some of the things they did, I think, really worked. Some of the things they tried to do, or they were just kind of repeating, kind of worked. But, you know, James Gunn did, I think, a pretty solid job. And I'm definitely intrigued to see what he does for Guardians 3. The first Thor film, I'm just going to go ahead and rank it with a good. I like it more than most people. I think it was a pretty good start for the character, and I like the tone of it. I think Kenneth Branagh, I think the director, Kenneth Branagh, who directed it, I'm pretty sure he directed it, I think so. He did a great job setting up Thor and setting up Asgard and just getting us into this new world. Because when you think back during Phase 1 of the MCU and looking at the films before, and I think was Captain America after Thor or before Thor? I can't remember exactly. But when you look at the entirety of Phase 1 before the Avengers and look at everything they've done so far with a period piece, setting up Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Captain America. And then you look at Thor, completely different world. But of course they had set on Earth in some instances and all that kind of stuff. But man, I think they did a pretty good job. This fucking cold, it needs to go away. It's gonna kill me. It's gonna kill me, I swear. But I think Thor was pretty damn good, and I definitely want to watch it again soon whenever I can get around to actually having time to do that. But I think Thor, good shit. So now we have Doctor Strange. I remember seeing this film. I think I saw it twice in theaters. The first time, I think, okay, pretty good. Second time, still enjoyed it, but I knew it was coming, so it wasn't as exciting as the first time viewing it. But I feel like with Doctor Strange, they did a pretty good job setting him up. I think that he's better served, in my personal opinion, interacting with the other Avengers, because his personality, his power set is so different than most of the Avengers that I feel like him interacting with Tony Stark and everything, and of course with Banner in Infinity War, I feel like was pretty good. I feel like just by himself in his own film, it works, but it could be, I don't know. It was missing something in my perspective. I think Wong was a nice addition, but I think Doctor Strange overall is likable. First Iron Man. This film is going to stand the test of time in terms of being, you know, a great start to the MCU. Because regardless of how you feel about Iron Man 2 and 3, Iron Man worked. Man, I need some water. So, Iron Man 1 worked, and I think Robert Downey Jr. knocked it out of the park, and I felt like it was a great start to the MCU. Can't get enough of the film, and I can't get over how it could have fell apart, because Robert Downey Jr. at the time wasn't the star he is today. And there was some heavy pushback in getting him casted. It worked. He delivered. The MCU is where it is today because of how Iron Man was so damn successful. But I'm going to give it to good. Okay, I'm back. Had to cut that. Had a heavy cough there, so decided to cut that one out. Avengers Age of Ultron. This movie could have been so much better. Some of the action scenes were pretty good, but I don't know. I think it was the fact that Ultron himself was a little too jokey at times. And you think James Spader, holy shit. He's a great actor. Amazing voice. It was great casting for Ultron. But I just feel like they could have done so much better with Ultron and setting him up. And I just feel like, man, this movie could have been... And just some of the story beats... I think Ultron is overall likable, in my personal opinion. Guardians 1. Now, Guardians, I think, was a real test. Because when you look back on what they were doing in the MCU up to Guardians 1 being released, is characters that were not mainstream comic book characters. People knew who Thor was. People knew who Iron Man was. Captain America, of course. Guardians, not really. No. And they nailed it. And the film delivered. We have some great characters. And I'm really excited to see what James Gunn does with Guardians 3, because I feel like he's done a great job overall with the first two. I'm going to give it a good ranking. Captain America Civil War. You know, I feel like this is pretty obvious. I feel like the film knocked it out of the park. I'm going to give it a best. Civil War knocks it out of the fucking park. It is definitely not the version in the comics, clearly. But man, the Russo brothers delivered. They delivered something great with this movie. The introduction of Spider-Man, Tom Holland, phenomenal shit. The fucking airport sequence is crazy. The reveal of Bucky killing... I almost said Robert Downey Jr. killing Stark's parents. That whole fight sequence. Holy crap. This movie is really emotional. Has, of course, some great bits with jokes and all that kind of stuff. But it really just delivers on the action. Delivers on the drama. And I just can't get enough of the movie. So I give it a best. Captain Marvel. Regardless of what people say about certain things, about, you know... Brie Larson's this, Brie Larson's that, Brie Larson said this. I'm basing this off of the movie, not the actress Brie Larson and what she does in her personal life or what she has or has not said. Captain Marvel, I enjoyed the film. I really did. I think it's pretty solid. And the crowd I saw it with really enjoyed it as well. So, Captain Marvel to me, I feel like overall is likable. I would put it in the solid category, but I'm going to put it in the likable category. Because there are some things that I'm like, they could have done that a little bit better execution-wise. But I feel like with her introduction in this, and then, of course, what happens in Endgame with her and how she ties in, I'm definitely intrigued to see what Captain Marvel 2 delivers in terms of Carol and where we go from here in terms of her character. So I'm excited for that. Ant-Man. The first Ant-Man. Ant-Man, I was surprised. We've been hearing since, like, the early days of the MCU that Ant-Man was coming. Well, kept getting delayed, kept getting pushed back. It was never put on the phase, officially, a slate. And then we got it. And, yeah, bravo. Ant-Man was freaking good. I'm going to give it a good, clearly. Wait for it. There we go. Boom. Good shit. Good shit. Spider-Man. Not far from home. Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm getting tired. And then my voice is killing me. Spider-Man Homecoming. Some great reveals. Vulture being a good villain. Michael Keaton knocks it out of the park. Tom Holland, I think, did a phenomenal job. And, of course, with Iron Man there in the mix. This movie just did a lot of cool things. There are people that hate this movie or hate the MCU version of Spider-Man because of the direction of him being looking up to Iron Man, and they're calling him Iron Boy and all that kind of stuff. For me, I like this interpretation of Spider-Man. I think this was a great film to introduce him in the MCU, and then, of course, what he's done after the fact. I'm going to give Spider-Man Homecoming a good ranking. Good shit. Iron Man 3 and Thor the Dark World, the last two here. I'm just going to kind of get to the point. Iron Man 3 is not okay. Film could have been better. Some people might think that I should rank it lower on the dumb scale, but I'm going to keep it with not okay. Some bits of Iron Man 3, okay. But, damn, they could have done a lot better, in my personal opinion. Jesus. But, it is what it is. They try to go a different direction. I think what really killed me in terms of enjoying this film and giving it the not okay, oops, hit the mic there, is the fact that the Mandarin's not the Mandarin. We're finally getting the Mandarin in Shang-Chi. But Ben Kingsley, goddamn, is the Mandarin. It would have been so good. Okay, whatever. Thor the Dark World, I'm going to give that a dumb. Just going to give it a dumb. Thor the Dark World, man. Seriously, I think the worst villain in the MCU. I forget the fucking villain's name in the movie. It doesn't matter. The movie's dumb. So, there you have it. There you have it, guys. That's my ranking of the MCU films up to Avengers Endgame. What do you guys think of my list? And does your ranking of the MCU films compare to mine or different from mine? Let me know in the comment section below, guys. Curious to know your thoughts. I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out.